Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is slope-intercept form. Does anybody remember slope-intercept form from last year?
Y equals mx plus b.
Y equals mx plus b. Great job. Y equals mx plus b. So last class we went over, what does the m stand for? Slope. Slope's what over what? Rise over run. And then what's the b stand for?
Y-intercept.
Your y-intercept. Why do you think it's called slope-intercept form, guys? Because in order to use slope-intercept form, you need to know your slope and y-intercept. There we go. Okay, they were nice when they named these forms. If you have your slope and your y-intercept, use slope-intercept form. Okay, so we are going to be given our slope and our y-intercept, and we are going to write our equations. Okay, so it says my slope is 2, so label that m. Then it says my y-intercept is -1, label that b. So all I'm going to do is rewrite my slope-intercept form. Y equals, do I know the value of m?
Yes.
Yes, I just labeled it. What is it? 2. X plus b, but what kind of number is b? A negative. So instead of plus b, I'm going to write -1, because b is a negative. You don't want double signs, so I wouldn't ever put plus -1. A plus negative is just a minus. So y equals mx plus b. Done. That's it. Good? Okay, next. What's my m? -3/5. What's my b? 4. So we're going to write our equation. Y equals m. What's m? X plus b. What's b? So plus 4. This time it is a plus 4 because b is positive. Next, what's my m? What's my b? 2. So y equals, what's m? X plus b, what's b? So plus 2. Are we thinking this is pretty easy, guys? Do we remember this from last year? Somewhat? Okay, what's my m for number 4? -1. What's my b? 7. So I have y equals, what's m? X plus b, what's b? Okay, now, this is correct. However, you're almost never going to see an equation written like this. What could I write differently? I could just write -x. Do you need the 1 coefficient? So let's rewrite this, because if you write this, yes, I will count it correct. However, am I ever going to give it to you looking like this? No. So this is really y equals, I can get rid of the 1, but can I get rid of the negative? So it's negative x plus 7. So if you don't have a coefficient, your understood coefficient is 1. Okay? We okay with that? Again, both of these are acceptable answers. I would be good with either. Okay? Number 5, what's your m? What's your b? 0. So again, y equals, what's your m? X plus b, what's b? Again, this is perfectly acceptable. However, if you have a constant of 0, do you need to write that plus 0? No, because does adding 0 to something change it? No. So I would rewrite this as just y equals 1/4 x. Good? Y'all think you can do the last one on your own?
Yeah.
Do the last one on your own really quick.
You ready, Liz?
Come on, guys, we are doing number 6 on our own. So don't ever have that. Plus negative is just. You never want double signs, guys. Never want double signs.
Moving on.
You're missing your edge.
Okay, so if you're doing that, okay, you want to rise over line, you can go up or down.
So we get y equals, what's my m? Biggest thing I saw, a lot of y'all left off the x. And then plus b, what's your b? I also saw lots of double signs. Don't put a plus negative 3, it's just a minus 3. If b is negative, it's just a minus. Good? Those are the easiest ones we're doing today, guys. I'm going to be honest with you. Those were pretty quick. I literally gave you the slope. I gave you the y-intercept. Write the equation in slope-intercept form. Okay? Next, we are going to have a graph. Okay? We need to find our y-intercept and our slope from the graph. Okay? So, looking at my line, I always want to find the y-intercept first. I think it's the easiest. So look at your y-axis. Where does it hit the y-axis? At -4. That's your b value then. And then this is where it comes into play what we used last class, or what we found last class, finding your slope. Slope's what over what? Rise over run. Again, I said personal preference. I like to always start at the bottom. So I'm going to rise 1, 2, 3. And I run 1 to the right. Going to the right, is that positive or negative? Positive. Very good. So what's 3 divided by 1? 3. So I get y equals, what's my m? X plus b, but what's b? -4. So -4. Now, guys, we are graphing. We have this lovely thing called a graphing calculator. Can you use your graphing calculator to help you? Yes, you can check yourself. We make lots of silly mistakes by having the wrong b sign, whether it be positive or negative, having the wrong slope sign, whether it be positive or negative, and writing it as run over rise instead of rise over run for our slope. So you want to check yourself. None of this math is super hard, but you can make a lot of silly mistakes. We want to check ourselves. So I want everyone on our calculator with me. Everyone is on our calculator with me. Turn your calculator on, and you're going to go to y equals, which is your top left button. So I don't want to have to ask again. We are all on the calculator with me. You are hitting y equals, which is the top left button. I'm going to clear it because I already had something in it. So I have a blank screen. Bunch of y equals. I'm going to put my equation in. Notice on the calculator it already says y equals. So I'm just going to type in my 3. Remember the x is the button next to the green button next to alpha. So 3x minus 4. So we're all typing this in our calculator. 3x minus 4. Again, I don't have to put the y equals because it already said y equals. Okay? We good with that? Hit the graph button, which is your top right button. And look, it graphs for you. Do these look the same? Yes, because we did it correctly. Do we like that we can check ourselves? Yeah? Okay, let's look at number 8. Again, I always find my b first, my y-intercept. So go on your y-axis. Where does it hit the y-axis?
Just 7.
At positive 7, because we're above the origin. Very good. Then I always start with my bottom point and calculate your rise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I went up 6. Up is positive. Then I'm going to run 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left. Going to the left is negative, so negative 4. What is 6 divided by negative 4? We don't use decimals. Remember, slope is simplified fractions. What is what's 6 divided by negative 4? What is 6 divided by negative 4? What?
Negative 1.5.
We don't use decimals. We use fractions. What is it, Brent?
Negative 1.5.
No decimals! No decimals! A point is the same thing as no mixed numbers. No mixed numbers.
Negative 6 over 4.
Simplify it. We all have calculators, okay? Stop. Get your calculator. Stop. I don't want to hear any answers. We're done trying to give answers. You now are going to your calculator, every last one of us, because we all struggled. You might have eventually got there, but we are all turning on our calculators, hands down. We are all doing this with me, because that was rough. We are all going to our calculators. How do you put a fraction in the calculator? Alpha y equals enter. And we are typing in 6 divided by negative 4. 6 over negative 4. We are all doing this with me on our calculator. And we get negative 3 over 2. Because a positive divided by a negative is negative. So my slope is negative 3 over 2. Again, what we learned from last class, this line is going down from left to right, meaning it should have a, which my slope is negative. Yes, ma'am?
Where's the X button?
Next to the green. But you only ever can put X in the calculator if you're in the Y equals. If I am here just in the calculate, you cannot use an X, okay, just when we graph. So now I have my M and my B. So my equation is Y equals, what's M?
Negative
X plus B, what's B? 7. So guys, we struggled there a little bit with simplifying our slope. We have calculators. If you need to, use your calculator. It's better than getting it wrong. Okay? Use your calculator. Okay, let's go to number 9. Notice how it no longer says M and B, but we still need to find our M and our B to write our equation in slope-intercept form. So, go on your y-axis. Where does this hit the y-axis? Negative 3. So my B is negative 3. Then I always start with my bottom point. How much am I rising?
2.
2, and it's up, which is a positive. How much do I run? 5 to the right, which is a positive. So what is my M? What is my slope? 2/5. 2 over 5. It does not simplify. So we get Y equals, what's M? 2/5. X plus B, but B is what? So not plus negative, just minus 3. Good? Okay, let's look at number 10. Go on your y-axis. Where does it hit? But it's below the origin, so it's negative 6. So B is negative 6. Let's calculate our slope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the right, which is a positive 5. So what's 5 divided by 5? So M is 1. So Y equals, do I need to put a 1 in front of my X? No, I can just put X, because X is the same as 1X plus b. What's b? So minus 6. Good? Okay, we're going to do one more together, then y'all are going to do 2 on your own. Let's go to number 12. Where does it hit the y-axis? At the origin, so b is 0. Then let's calculate our slope. I go 1, 2, 3, 4 up. 1, 2, 3 to the right. So what's my slope? 4/3. Very good. So I get y equals, what's m? X plus b. But what's b? So do I need to put a plus 0? No, because when you add 0, does it change anything? No, so you don't have to put it. Good? Okay, I want y'all to do 13 and 15 on your own. 13 and 15 on your own. Do 13 and 15 on your own. Okay, let's do number 13 together, guys. First, find your b. Where's it hit? The y-axis. -3. One thing I saw, a lot of y'all put 3. If it's below the origin, it's a negative y-intercept, a negative b. Yes, sir. Okay, then I need to find my slope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I went up 8. Up is positive. Then I go 1, 2, 3, 4. To the left is negative. I then saw a lot of 1/2. Okay? Positive 8 divided by negative 4 is what? -2. So y equals m x plus b, but b is -3. So lots of good things. A couple of small errors that we are making. Be careful when you are simplifying your slope. Okay, be careful when you are simplifying your slope. Also remember what we did last class. We read our graphs left to right. This is going downhill. If it's going down, your slope is a negative. Check yourself, okay, because that's a super easy fix. Okay, if you accidentally put a positive instead of a negative or vice versa, always check to make sure that you have the appropriate sign for your slope. Okay? So 15, what's my b? -2. Start with your bottom point and go 1, 2 up. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to the right. I saw lots of 3's here. 6 divided by 2 is 3, but we do our rise over our run. So 2/6 is 1/3. 1/3 is not the same as 3. Would you rather have 3 pizzas or only 1/3 of a pizza? They're not the same. Okay? So y equals, what's my m? 1/3 x plus b, what's b? So -2. Good? How do we feel about writing from our graphs? We feel okay? Okay. Now we are going to go to standard form. Okay? So we've done slope-intercept form. That's your y equals mx plus b. Standard form is ax plus by equals c. So what makes this different is both my x and my y terms are on the left, and the constant is all alone on the right. Do you see an m anywhere here? Do you see your lowercase b anywhere here? You cannot just look at the equation and find your slope. A is not your slope, B is not your slope, C is not your slope. You can't just look at the equation and find your y-intercepts. A is not your y-intercept, B is not your y-intercept, and C is not your y-intercept. Okay? We don't like this form. Okay? This is nothing I'm going to want to use. So what we're going to work on today is writing each equation in slope-intercept form. We love slope-intercept form because it gives me the two things I need to have to graph, a slope and an intercept. Okay, a slope and a y-intercept. So, we've already done this kind of whenever we did our solving literal equations in Unit 1. Okay, we're going to follow those same steps for solving an equation over on the left side of the board. Okay, draw your line through the equals. And when we're in slope-intercept form, what variable is all by itself? Y. So I'm going to circle Y. If it says put it in slope-intercept form, you're solving for Y. What's on the same side as Y? 2x. How do you move a positive 2x from the left to the right? Minus 2x on both sides. What's 2x's minus 2x's? No x's. They cancel each other out because they are inverse operations. Drop down your y equals. Are these like terms on the right? No, so can I combine them? If they're not both x terms or both constants? No. And if we wanted it in slope-intercept form, that's y equals mx plus b. Which term should I put first? My b or my mx? Your mx. You want your x term first. So negative 2x. Is your 3 positive or negative? So it's a plus 3. So is this now in the form y equals mx plus b? What form is this called? Slope-intercept. Very good. So looking at this equation, what is my slope? Negative 2. What is my b? What is it? 3. Good? Guys, I will say these are sometimes confusing. They're very procedural though. We're doing the same things every time. Draw your line through the equals. And I'm circling y. I want to get the x term over to the other side. What am I going to do to move 4x from the left to the right? Minus 4x on both sides. What's 4x minus 4x? They cancel out, and I have 5y equals what? So which order should I write it in? Negative 4x minus 30. They are not like terms. This is my x term, that is my constant term. Y is not by itself. What's with the y? A 5. How is the 5 with the y? What operation? What's the opposite of multiplication? So I'm going to divide by, and when you divide every term. Divide every term by 5. So what happens with your 5 over 5? And I get y equals, can negative 4/5 simplify? Is 4 divisible by 5? No. I'm always going to put my negative out in front, 4/5, and then my x next to it. Because my negative 4/5 is my slope, then I have my x. What's negative 30 divided by 5? Negative 6. Are we in the form y equals mx plus b? Yes, so we are good. Okay, what is my slope, or what is my m, Samantha?
The m is 4 over 5.
What kind of 4/5? What kind of 4 over 5?
Negative 4.
Negative 4 over 5. Very good. What is my b?
Negative 6.
Negative 6. Do we remember doing this from our first unit? Some of us slightly, some of us not at all. Okay. You awake with me, Rayleigh? Okay, draw your line through the equals and circle y. What am I going to do first? Enzo, what am I going to do first on number 3 to get y by itself? What am I going to do first to get y by itself? Subtract what? Subtract what? Subtract what, though, from one side to the other? So the 12's already away from the y. So I need to move my x and my -3. Which one am I going to move first? Which one's not glued to the y? The x is not glued. How do you move a positive x from the left to the right? Subtract x. Let's make sure we're staying awake, okay? What's x minus x? They cancel out. What am I dropping down? Be careful, there's a negative in front of the y. And what's the right side become, Jaden? What do I write on the right side of my equation right here? Well, so on the right side I have 12 minus x. I have a 12 and I have a minus x. Can these two combine? No. They're not like terms. Very good. So what am I going to write right here? Very good. And I'm just going to put negative x plus 12. Very good. Keep your y circled. What am I going to do next, Chris?
You divide
By what?
3y, or
Negative 3. Do I divide by y, guys? No, you want to keep the y where it is. I'm only wanting to move the -3 away from the y. So what happens with the -3 over -3? Cancels, and I get y equals. My x doesn't have a coefficient, so it has an understood coefficient of 1. So what's -1 over -3? Positive 1 over 3. A negative over a negative is positive 1/3. X. What's 12 over -3? -4. Y equals mx plus b. We are in slope-intercept form. Evie, what is my slope? Remember, y equals mx. My m, which is slope, is 1/3. Very good. What is my b? Maria, what's my b?
-4.
Great job. How are we feeling about these, guys? Okay, we're going to do one more together, then y'all are going to do 2 on your own. Okay, so let's look at number 4. Draw your line through the equals, circle y. Okay, what is my first step to get y by itself, Reese?
Subtract x.
Great job. Subtract x on both sides. You always want to move your x term away from your y. So x minus x goes away. What am I going to drop down on the left side, Darren? What am I left with on this left side when the x minus x crosses out? Negative what?
X.
On the left? Negative y. Very good. Equals, what am I going to write on the right side, Darren?
X.
What kind of x?
Positive x.
But what's in front of it?
With the x.
Yeah, what's in front of the x?
Negative.
So it's a negative x. Then what's going to come next?
8.
Minus 8. Guys, I cannot stress enough, pay attention. Pay attention. Okay? So many of us are zoning out, not paying attention. That's not going to benefit you. What am I going to do next to get y by itself, Gabby? So I want to leave the y where it is. Okay? So what's on the same side with the y? The negative. And if there's no coefficient, it's a negative. You have an understood coefficient of what, Gabby? There's no actual number there. It's understood 1. So I have a negative 1 coefficient. How do you get rid of a negative 1 coefficient? So when a number and a variable are glued together, it's multiplication, right? What's the opposite of multiplication? So I'm going to divide by negative 1. Very good. Divide everything by negative 1. What's negative 1 divided by negative 1? They cancel each other out, and I get y equals. This x doesn't have a coefficient, but I can put a what in front of it? A 1. All variables have an understood coefficient of 1, and in this case there's a negative, so negative 1. What's negative 1 divided by negative 1? They cancel, and I get x. What's negative 8 divided by negative 1? Positive 8. Are we now in the form y equals mx plus b? Yes, what is my m? Your m is a number. And we don't include the x, it's just 1. It's your coefficient of x, but when we identify what our slope is, it's just the x's coefficient when you're in slope-intercept form. What is my b? 8. Okay, I think we need to do one more together before we move on to by ourselves. Okay, we kind of still, I don't feel like 100% get it yet. Let's go to number 6. Okay, draw a line through the equals, circle y. What am I going to do first, Brant? What am I going to do first on number 6 to get y by itself? Subtract 3x on both sides. Very good. So the 3x minus 3x cancel out, and what am I left with? Well, the x's cancel, so I'm left with. So looking at that left side, what's not crossed out? There you go, negative 2y. Equals, on the right side, what am I going to write? Say it, I can't hear you, sweetie. Which one do I want to write first, though? Very good. Negative 3x minus 14. Good job. Keep your y circled. What am I going to do next, Diana? Divide by what? Divide everything by negative 2. Very good. So the negative 2's cancel, and I get y equals. What do we get, guys? Positive 3 over 2, x, and then what? Plus 7. There we go. Okay, y'all are doing 5 and 7 on your own. Do 5 and 7 on your own. Okay, guys, let's look at number 5. Number 5 was easier, right? Draw your line through the equals, circle y. What do I do first? Minus 4x, very good. The only thing I have to be super careful, when I jot down my y, there's that minus in front, so it's a negative y, equals negative 4x. Keep your y circled. Y doesn't have a coefficient, so it has an understood coefficient of 1, and there's a negative, so it's a negative 1. How do you get rid of a negative 1 coefficient? Divide by negative 1. Divide by negative 1. So I get y equals 4x. Good? What would my b be here? B is 0. What's my m? 4. Very good. Okay, let's look at number 7. Draw a line through the equals, circle y. What do I do first to get y by itself? Add 6x. And then I get 4y equals, can that become 26x? No, because they're not like terms. Which term do I put first, my 20 or my 6x? 6x plus 20. Circle your y. What do I do to get y by itself? Divide by 4. And we get y equals. Do what? 3/2 x. Very good. Plus 5. Very good. So what's my m? And what's my b? Good? How do we feel solving for y? Okay. Now, let's go to this given graphs, number 13. Wait till after notes. I'm almost done. You want to see this. This is completely different. You want to see this. Okay, so this says determine the equation that best represents the line shown on the graph. Hint, convert them to slope-intercept form. How many of y'all, for each problem, don't want to solve 4 equations for y for one problem? I don't want to do that. That sounds like a lot of work, right? I don't want to solve 4 equations for y to find one answer. Okay? So let's think of a different way I could do this. Okay? Choose a point. You can't use the calculator because these don't all say y equals. You only can graph if they say y equals. So I would have to solve for y, then graph. Don't want to do that. Okay? So look at your line. Find a good point that is on your line that is not the y-intercept. Don't choose the y-intercept. Okay? So look at your line. Look at your line. Try to find a point on the line. Bless you.
Thank you.
Somebody tell me an ordered pair of a point that is on the line that is not the y-intercept. 3 negative what? 3 negative 1. I think that's a great point. 3 negative 1, that is on my line. Do we all see that? Label your ordered pair x and y. So this ordered pair is on my line. So if I plug 3 in for x and negative 1 in for y, it should get a true statement. I should get a true statement. Okay, so let's look at this first one. Instead of x, I'm going to replace x with 3. So 3 plus 3 times y. What's my y value? Negative 1. Okay? So all I did was I replaced x with 3, replaced y with negative 1. What's 3 times negative 1? Plus 3.
0.
0. Does that match? This equals 0, and it says it should equal negative 6. So do those match? No. So can A be my answer? Guys, if I were you, I would start participating. Otherwise, we're solving all of these for y. Do y'all want to do that? No. So let's participate with me. Do these match? No. Okay, so let's replace x with 3. Minus 3 times y. What's y? Negative 1. So what's negative 3 times negative 1? Positive 3 plus 3? 6 equals 6. Do they both equal 6? Yes, so I'm going to put a check mark. That doesn't mean that's necessarily the correct answer. You can have multiple lines through the point 3, negative 1. Okay, there's a ton. There's an infinite number of lines through this point. So it just doesn't mean that B's wrong. So let's check and see if C's right. 3 times, what's x? 3 plus, what's y? Negative 1. What's 3 times 3? 9 plus negative 1? 8. Negative 2 and 8. Are those the same? No, can't be C. Let's try D. 3 times x, which is 3, minus y, which is negative 1. What do I do with my double negatives? Make it a plus. What's 3 times 3? Plus 1? This says equals 10, but this says equal 2. Are those the same? No. So what's the only equation that has the point 3, negative 1 on it? B. Now, if you had more than one answer choice that had this point on it, Then you would just choose a different point. Choose another point and see if it satisfies both. It wouldn't. It would only satisfy one. Okay? Do we think that that process was way faster than solving each of these for y? I promise you it is. Okay, we're going to do one more, guys. Look at number 14. I'm going to call on somebody. So everybody's looking at number 14 because I might call on you. Look at number 14 and find a point other than the y-intercept. Write an ordered pair of a point other than the y-intercept that is on the line. Okay? Jasmine, tell me a point that is on the line. 2, 4? Is that what you said? 3, 4? 2, 3. 2, 3. Do we all agree 2, 3 is on the line? Yes, it is. Good job, Jasmine. If you picked a different one, is that okay? Yes. Okay, but we're going to use Jasmine's point. Label it X, Y. So instead of X, I'm going to put 2. Plus 2 times y is 3. What's 2 times 3? Plus 2. 8 equals negative 2? No, can't be A. X, which is what? Minus 2 times y, which is what? Okay, what's negative 2 times 3?
Negative 6.
Plus 2. Negative 4. Does negative 4 equal 2? Nope, can't be B. 2 times x, what's x?
2.
Plus y, what's y?
3.
What's 2 times 2? Plus 3? 7 equals negative 1? Nope, so it has to be B, but let's check. 2 times what's x?
2.
Minus what's y?
3.
Okay, what's 2 times 2? 4 minus 3? 1. Does 1 equal 1? Yes, so D is my correct answer. Okay, we good? So that's a way you can work backwards.